Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, also known as FMAB, is widely known as one of the greatest anime to ever grace Mother Earth. And for good reason. It has impeccable writing, excellent characters, engaging plot twists, and outstanding fights. But one of the reasons it has stood the test of time is because of its profound commentary on both religion and science. Underneath the shonen bravado are deep philosophical inquiries that, for anyone paying enough attention, are encouraged to challenge their own beliefs. What is truth? This question is at the core of Fullmetal Alchemist, a wrestling with knowledge and faith, trying to unravel the mysteries of life through multiple perspectives. And the show takes time to explore these perspectives in healthy and unhealthy ways. Let's dive in. This is Edward, your local state alchemist and self-proclaimed atheist who has met God. Wait, what? Yeah, it's a bit complicated, but stick with me. As an alchemist, Edward is a proprietor of science. He bases his understandings completely on scientific understanding. Beliefs that fall outside of that, in his view, are just that. Beliefs. They hold no weight in reality and therefore do not fall within the category of truth. As early as episode 3, we see him ridicule the faith of Letoism, belief in the sun god, a religion that promises salvation and that through faith, even the dead can be brought back to life, a sentiment that strikes an incredibly personal chord for Edward. Ed argues,
"And you're telling me something modern science can't do, you can do with prayer?"
Pointing out how ridiculous it sounds when breaking the faith's claims down into scientific terms. Ed already knows the miracles are fake, the priest is a fraud, and within a day he exposes it just for that. Here, Ed is right. The religion was a hollow husk, a sham, a tool of manipulation forged for violence and personal gain. In his writings, Questions on Miracles, the French philosopher Voltaire wrote, "Those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities." Surely all religion is foolishness, and the only truth that can be found is in science.
Big Brother Ed.
In episode 3, we witness the extremes of blind faith in religion, leading seemingly normal people to violence, hatred, and other extreme behaviors. We observe the exploitation of the vulnerable and hurting. But what is this? Science, the proprietor of truth, abusing the innocence of a little girl? This is wrong! What about consciousness, morality, ethics, philosophy, love? Those are not scientific terms. They cannot be measured in a scientific way. If we are only the sum of our parts, simple ingredients meshed together by a random process, then as Edward said earlier,
Humans are pretty cheap.
As Tucker points out, Edward is the same. He also experimented with human life. They are scientists, and this was a necessary sacrifice in order to push scientific advancement. The belief that Tucker showcases here is known as scientism, a belief that science is the only valid source of knowledge. It ignores philosophy, ethics, theology, personal experience, and more, relying only on things that can be measured within a lab. According to Tucker, what he did was not abuse of human life. He simply combined a bunch of chemicals and atoms together. Obviously, Edward disagrees with this, but you can see Edward's immense eternal struggle as he denies it. Tucker has made a scientific statement, one that he acted on, and it violated Edward's worldview, but not necessarily in a scientific way. How could he explain that? What's humorous about scientism is that it is a self-refuting statement. Claiming that science is the only avenue to truth is not a scientific claim, but a philosophical one. Tucker had not broken Edward's scientific beliefs. He acted upon equivalent exchange. What he had broken were philosophical and moral viewpoints. In his book, The Brothers Karamazov, Russian novelist Fyodor Dostoevsky argues if there is no God, everything is permitted. Within 4 episodes, Fullmetal gives us a clear warning of single-mindedly holding onto blind faith in anything. Blind faith in a religion can lead to the justification of anything, and blind faith in science can remove the need for justification for anything. This theme established so early carries throughout the rest of the series. On the religious side, we have the zealot Scar in the Ishvalan religion. It is a religion that touts a single god and morality, yet Scar uses it as a justification for punishment, vengeance, and murder. Witnessing the genocide of his people, he takes the word of his god to an extreme conclusion, attempting to take matters into his own hands, acting as an agent for God. On the other hand, you have the Amestris government using science as a shield for their abhorrent actions, such as conducting human experiments, carrying out mass genocide, forcing the souls of the dead into mindless puppets, and more, all to create a new world, one where they would be immortal. They even twist words to justify themselves, such as saying they're not murdering the populace, but giving them immortality in those who are specially chosen. Through Father, we can see the culmination of both extremes. Father was the ultimate source of science, capable of the most powerful alchemy, yet he sought to make himself truth, to make himself God. His view is reminiscent to an extreme version of philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, who, when seeing the rise of science, believed we had disproved God and lost the moral compass religion provided. He saw this as a tragedy and responded with one of his most famous quotes, "God is dead. God remains dead, and we have killed him." The rest of the quote is quite long, but he ends with this conclusion: "Must we ourselves not become gods simply to appear worthy of it?" Nietzsche, like Father, had concluded that science had made God irrelevant, and one must become a god themselves in order to create meaning, morality, and purpose. While Father obviously had some differences and takes this to an extreme level, you can still see the similarities between the views. We witness Father literally pull truth down, crying out that he would no longer be bound to him, that he would become truth, showcasing his incredible pride. A pride he attempts to take to its logical conclusion, which in turn he would learn that he could not make himself the source of ultimate truth. Truth is something outside of yourself, and it is objective. So where does this leave us? Is Fullmetal saying that both science and religion are fundamentally corrupted and neither should be relied upon? No, not at all. In all the examples I've listed about the corruption of either religion or science, Fullmetal also displays cases where it is incredibly useful. The first person we ever see who attempts to dissuade Scar from continuing down his destructive path is his teacher, a spiritual leader who is also an Ishvalan, making the first mention of the prevalent theme of the cycle of hatred and giving immense wisdom, which slowly changes Scar's perspective. It is also through the Ishvalans that Amestris is saved, following the teachings of their god and philosophy. They show forgiveness and a desire to move towards a future rather than holding on to revenge for the past. We also have Dr. Knox, who once abused his medical knowledge and eventually used it to save lives. There's alchemy designed specifically for healing, and the same science that stole millions of people's souls was the same that rescued them. Fullmetal showcases that religion and science are multifaceted, capable of both good and evil, but not everything. It warns us from drawing knowledge blindly from one place. I think Uncle Iroh said it best.
It is important to draw wisdom from many different places. If we take it from only one place, it becomes rigid and stale.
It is the combination of the Ishvalan religion's philosophy and the acceptance of science that allows Scar to save the nation of Amestris. Without his philosophy, Scar had no reason to save the country, and without science, he did not have the means to do so. Edward, who at first was closer to scientism, extended his thinking to philosophy and history, learning more about the world around him and the people in it, granting him a clearer picture of his own beliefs, morals, and viewpoints. His constant searching for what is truth can no longer just be held within science, but now extends outside of it. Funnily enough, Edward and Alphonse both had the capability to restore their bodies, mostly, from the beginning. It was not science that kept Edward from the truth for so long, but pride. It was through humility that he realized that he had the right payment all along, his own alchemy. By releasing the source of his ego and pride to truth, Ed was able to learn a necessary lesson and save his brother. Such a thought process can only come from philosophical thinking. If Edward had not gone through the journey of wrestling with different lines of thought, but instead only researched science, he would have never gotten his brother's body back, unless he crossed a line he was at first unwilling to. So we come back to the question, what is truth? Well, Fullmetal doesn't give us a straight answer. We know that truth exists. It's a literal character in the show, but each character seems to come to their own conclusion. Was Ishvala a divine being this whole time, revealing himself in the fight with Scar and Bradley, or was it just coincidence? Was Edward's lessons of humility and cherishing the people around him the truth? Perhaps. I think Fullmetal leaves this open-ended because we are all seeking truth in our own world. Religions claim to have the truth, and so do science and many philosophies. Truth is out there, that much is sure. To say there is no such thing as truth is predicated on that statement being true. I think it is up to us to search out science, philosophies, religion, morality, and more. Expand our knowledge so that we too can face on that question. Because if truth is out there, and you can know it, there I think the meaning of life is found.